What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the YouTube channel of Prodigious Customs. I'm Jason Stoltz. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my garage. If you're coming back, thank you so much. I want to help you get out in the garage, get your small project cars done and finished and out of the way so that you can focus on your current project, your big project, your dream project, your custom project, whatever the car project is, so that you can be out there driving, enjoying it. And who knows, you could be winning shows with it, but you're not going to know unless you start getting after it and building. On this episode, I want to focus on this Toyota Celica. We're going to put the fuel pump out of the old Celica in this one, get it fired back up so I can take it for a drive around the block. With that said, let's get to it. So we're inside this other Celica. Going to pull this off, give you a little bit better of a view this time so you're closer. Obviously, I've had this off once before, so I had the electrical connectors already off. Just get that out of the way. We'll pull the sending unit out. I wanted to put it in here so while the car was sitting with an open gas tank, the interior doesn't end up soaking up any of that fuel smell. Just to give you an idea, this is the fuel pump out of the other Celica, and as you can see, the float rises and falls, and that's what you want. You want it to rise and fall with your fuel level. Well, the one that just came out of this car is frozen. You can put that fuel level wherever you want. So if you want to dream that you always have a full tank of gas, you can do that. But for everybody that's out there driving every day, you don't want to be stranded on the side of the road because you ran out of fuel because your gas gauge isn't working. So another reason is the fuel pump that's actually in this unit. I tried to put my jumper leads on and get it to spin, and it just is froze solid. So I'm going ahead and replacing the whole unit. Faster, easier, cheaper. So let's put the new unit in the car. All right, so we'll get this unit in here, stabbed in here. Obviously you want to be careful of your filter and your float. They kind of have to hook in and roll in. So I'll hook them in here. Set that down in there. And now we'll place the ring that locks everything down. There is a little nub on the fuel pump itself as to where this nub lines up with. So you have to slip it over the top of the fuel lines and put it in. So that plastic nub lines up with this nub. So then you'll go down in there, you'll hook it over the edge of that fuel line and shewax like that. So we'll get this ring in here screwed back down, get our holes lined up. You want to be careful not to drop any of these screws down. Like I said, they'll go into the deep dark abyss and never be found. So a good rule of thumb is to always start your screws by hand first, so that way you know if it's going to go in with a screwdriver. Because if you run a screwdriver down and you get that both sideways, you're kind of in a bad situation. Especially when it comes to things that matter, like your fuel pump or like your oil pan, valve cover gaskets, whatever. You just want to make sure that everything goes in smooth, nice, equal. That way when you crank it down and you think it's tight, it actually is tight. Alright, now we need to hook back up our fuel lines. So we'll start with this end guy here. Since it's really nice and easy, you just grab this, put it back over where it goes. Push it down far enough. So then you grab your keeper and you slide it underneath here. Make sure to push down on this so it can slide past, and it should lock it into place, and then that's secure. The next is the actual fuel line style. So you'll just have to slide it over the end of this and pull until you hear a loud audible click. If I can get my good grip on it. And it takes quite a bit of force. And that's it, just like that. You can give it a good push to make sure it's not just gonna push back off, that it's secure. And then you got your electrical connectors. They're kind of color coded for you. White goes to white, black goes to black. So just make sure they line up. You also don't want to force these, and push until you hear the click. Sorry, you can't really see this one. Push till you hear a click. And then you stick your glue back down on this. This one has some dynamite in the car for whatever reason. You just put it right back over the top like it would never happen. Alright, before we put the back seat and all the interior back together, let's see if our diagnosis was correct and that this will fire up. So let's try it out. Sweet! Well, good news. It fired up. That's awesome. That means the diagnosis about a bad fuel pump was correct. So we'll go ahead and get things kind of buttoned back up, get the tools off the car, get the seat back in it so we can take it for a drive around the block and make sure everything's going to be just fine. So let's do that. Success. So in the little drive around the block yesterday, I tripped the check engine light. I put an OBD2 scanner on there and ran the code, and it came up as a knock sensor. So I thought it might have been a misfire, an exhaust leak. We also had the high idle problem. So I'm going to work on diagnosing that today. One of the first things I'm going to do is check for compression. When you're checking for compression, checking for spark, you want to make sure the fuel is off. So go in your relay panel, find which relay is associated with the fuel pump, with the EFI, whatever the case might be, and make sure you pull that out, because that's a great way to start your car on fire if you're not shutting those things off, because fuel and spark make boom. So let's not burn down our cars. So let's get into it. I know which relay and which fuses are related to the fuel pump and EFI, so I'll pull those and then we'll turn it over and see what we're getting. So I got my relay and fuses out. I'll just check for compression. We'll turn it over and see what each cylinder is putting out. I've pulled out all the spark plugs so that it'll turn over equally. It's not trying to bind up on any of them. So go ahead and turn it over and see what it does. Alrighty, so we're sitting at about 125, which is pretty good. So we'll move on to the next cylinder. Sitting at exactly the same spot, 125. So we're sitting same spot, roughly, just a little bit less than 125, which is okay. Oh no. So we're sitting at about just over 60 pounds. So we clearly have an issue on this cylinder. So, bad news. I've done some research now. Turns out we should be closer to 203 pounds with a minimum of 145 on each cylinder. So that means something has gone completely wrong for a motor that's only got supposedly 22,000 miles. It was driven by a teenager before me, so clearly that could be an issue. Who knows? But we're gonna get checking the other one that's outside, the purple car, see what kind of compression that motor's making. Maybe we'll just swap them out and we can send this car down the road as soon as we get the paint issue fixed on it, which will be in an upcoming episode. But first, we're gonna obviously focus on getting this running where it should be. So let's jump outside in the cold and run a compression test on that car. So before even starting the compression test on this, it's already not looking good. We got plugs here that have a whole bunch of carbon and crap built up on them, but we'll run the test anyway because we have the car and I made myself a key that works for this car. So let me grab the battery, throw it in here, and we'll do it. Let's hope for good numbers. What a joke. Oops. 25 pounds. Well, we made 50 pounds on that one. All right. 50 more pounds, that is 75 pounds. This motor's foobarred too. Can't forget my key. We're almost to 100 on that one. Well, 75, we went back down. So we got 2 at 75, 100, and 25. So yeah, this motor clearly needs to be rebuilt as well. So that's not really gonna work for us, unfortunately. I have another motor. Maybe we'll snag it out of another Celica that I have. We'll get that one rebuilt, maybe put a turbo on it for my other project. So stick around, stay tuned. I guess we're rebuilding some Celica motors. Alrighty, so bad news all the way around. Gonna hope to find a rebuild kit, or like I said, we'll grab the motor out of the other Celica that I have. Maybe it's got even better compression than these two, hopefully. Who knows? Anyway, we'll most likely be rebuilding the Celica motor on this channel, and stick around because it could be fun. I don't know what to expect. I don't know a lot about them. I know the heads are made by Yamaha and some cool facts like that, but hopefully we can get these things up and running. Like I said, maybe we'll build a lower compression motor and throw a turbo on it and have some fun with that. So stick around, stay tuned, and thanks for watching my video.